Hello everybody and welcome to another Stellaris video. Today I'm pretty excited to be playing my first Hive build on my channel. Of course Hive is not my strongest build, so I'm just going to be playing with this and kind of finding out how it goes. I've done a couple test runs, so I'm not going to be like a completely clueless player. However, we're going to go with Chromalogs and Cranial Mega Trophy. This is just like kind of funny thematic gameplay to go along with this big brain anthropod portrait, which I think is quite funny. Fleeting Excellence, and then 3 negative traits to balance it out. And Void Hive and Memorialist. Void Hive is not starting on habitats, unlike what the name might suggest, but instead it just builds free star bases for you. And I think it's decent for a starting economy. And yeah, making sure we have a source of basic economy as we expand out into the galaxy, because that is definitely not what we're going to be focusing on here in the early game. Let's go ahead and I guess just start with some resource text where we get access to it. Not sure which one of these to take, to be honest. Just go ahead and go with that. And then, as you can see, we start with a negative food deficit. That is because of how weak our food production is. That is perfectly fine. What we're going to do about that is just immediately build up a hydroponics farming bay on our capital here. And also, we're going to build a second science ship immediately so we can get more than one science ship scanning systems and building star bases so that we can automatically exploit the mineral deposits. As you can see, they're slowly going to be exploited on their own without me having to touch anything, and that is kind of the nice benefit of Void Hive. And we also do have a efficient builder leader here, which is really nice, as that's going to reduce the upkeep of stuff. It's going to make our early game a lot easier, and I do think we need to start off by buying a good chunk of minerals. I should have been doing this earlier, to be honest, and then we can use that to build something like an agriculture district and then get started on Unity Rush or ascending as early as possible. I'm sure, like, as I'm playing this Hive build, there's going to be a lot of build order things which could be done better if I knew the optimal way to kind of do things with Hive. Unfortunately, I don't, so I apologize for that, and just kind of stick with me as I work things out slowly and just like figure things out as I go. Even still, in my couple test runs, like, I was pleasantly surprised by the strength of Hive and how easy it is to rush Hive worlds. With the power of things like adaptability, you can very easily get guaranteed Hive Worlds research somewhat early into the game, and that's really fantastic. And also, I think we're going to start here with prosperity, and then we're going to immediately, after prefabricated buildings, probably jump into logistics and just use logistics mostly for trade from maintenance drones. Like 27 free trade is nothing to scoff at and should help our basic economy out just a little bit in our early game Unity Rush here. And I think we can even play on fast, as we're not going to be waiting for too many things to pass here. Although we do definitely like kind of lack a little bit of minerals. Yeah, the mineral production is just really weak in the early game, and I think what we're going to do about that is we're just going to build a synaptic node. This is a relatively long building. It takes almost a year, so during that time we should collect just about enough minerals to build one of these districts out of a heavy industry district and into something else, and obviously give us enough time to take prefabricated buildings. We're also really lucky Alpha Centauri has a 12 mineral deposit that is probably better than what you would normally expect to get. Between Alpha Centauri and Cirrus, you'd probably usually expect to get something like maybe just 6 to 12 between the two systems, so it's very nice to get 12 in just one of them. Get the first league, not too important. If we do get another dig site or something like that and more minor artifacts, it would be great for our home planet there. And we're just going to go ahead and go finding the voice to get as much unity as possible in the early game. And of course, logistics should just help us as well with our logistics. And yeah, just having extra trade to kind of buy out whatever resource we need. Buying some food would be great, probably. Just so we can start to get some colony ships going, right? Because we haven't started a colony ship yet. I believe it costs 500 food. So, honestly, let's just kind of hard purchase that much food and start up a colony ship so we can get that ready to take Alpha Centauri there. And we're still also lacking some minerals. So I'm just gonna like hard purchase some minerals here. Nope, I don't want to sell. I just wait one more month, and then we should have enough to start this into administrative hub zone. That should jump our Unity once again. Go ahead and take this system now, and yeah, we're starting to expand out pretty nicely into the galaxy. And tell these guys to auto survey. And my second guaranteed habitable should be in this system. If I was min-maxing, what I'd be doing is I'd also be sending my my corvettes out to scout, just in case I find, some good planets or, anything like that out in the galaxy, you would always want to take them as soon as possible. As you can see, we start with 2 size 12 planets, like right next to us here, which is definitely something. What's nice about having these small planets next to us is even though they're not amazing planets, you can just use them as a basic resource world, right? Like one of them can be used for minerals, the other could be used for food or energy credits, right? And then they're just, still an entire planet dedicated to a resource, which is very, very nice. I kind of completely recommend doing that these days. And it does mean we won't be able to build the craziest amount of support zones on each one of them because they're only size 12s, which kind of sucks, right? But big planets have been just much better than small planets for quite a while now. There's kind of not much you can do about that. You just kind of bite the bullet and build what you can, right? Anyhow, another amplified sub-processes is a great leader, and I think we can just go ahead and finish out superiority. Is that a size 25 ocean? That must be some special event planet. I don't know from what, if I'm being completely honest. Like, planet gives size 25. I believe Polaris is a size 24 or size 22. So it's not that. Size 25, like, yeah, there's a lot of ocean worlds that come from different, like, galaxy, like, anomalies or, like, special spawns, that kind of thing. So that's why I always love to take ocean world whenever your build has no specific need for a planet, because there are just more ocean worlds in the galaxies than other types of worlds. I couldn't tell you that for sure, but that is just the feeling I get from playing a lot of Stellaris games. Maybe one day I'll go through and just spawn a galaxy and just count the amount of worlds, probably do it like 10 times, and then that should give us a pretty good idea of, like what planet types are the most common in the galaxy. I would reckon, with some amount of confidence, that it is honestly ocean worlds. So anyhow, let's go ahead and slow down time a bit so we can manage our economy a bit better here. As you can see, we're making a decent basic economy at this point. So, but we are lacking alloys a bit. So we can honestly put in even a buy for like 3 alloys per month. I want to be building Hive clusters on my homeworld instead. I don't know how long I've had my homeworld idle for. This is why talking and playing at the same time can sometimes be a little difficult, especially when distracted, such as myself. Let's go ahead and make sure we don't fall too far off the ideal path here, right? Is we always want to be building something on our homeworld, right? As our pop assembly is pretty fast, so we're barely even cutting into the amount of maintenance drones we have, and that is kind of a thing you often have to deal with Hive, is the speed that you can create jobs is really important, as it is a big bottleneck to how fast you can expand. And since this planet has high quality minerals, I think I want to go with this planet as a mineral specific planet, and then I can use this as an energy and or food planet, and then any other planets after that I can use for something like alloys or technology. Having these tiny size like 12 or 11 tech planets will kind of suck, but my home planet will also be a tech planet, right? So we'll have at least that, and then we'll try to use that to get a Hive world as soon as possible. Anyhow, yeah, let's just continue to expand out into the galaxy here. Having only one construction ship is a little slow, but I mean these planets also don't scan the fastest, and we're still quite bottlenecked on alloys in a lot of ways, right? So it's not too. I do want to keep up with these solar panels as well. Make sure we don't fall behind on energy credits. As I see, there's kind of 2 levels to Stellaris players, right? There are let's call it 3. There's the first level where you just don't crash your basic economy, but you way overproduce basic economy items and then don't produce enough advanced resources, being tech and unity. And then there's players who get a little bit better and then get very good at maxing out unity and research, but their basic economy is so bad that they can't take advantage of their high advanced economy and like grow out of that, or pivot your economy really quickly because you don't have enough minerals, you don't have enough energy credits, or you're constantly having to do big buys and sells of random resources to bail yourself out. So that can be a little bit challenging. And then there's the really good players who live on the edge on basic resources but have just enough constantly keep the buildings going and that kind of thing. But it takes a lot of practice and optimization, and probably there's only been a couple players in Stellaris history where I can say they've truly maximized the art of perfect clicking, of like upgrading everything on time and that kind of thing. And why don't you go survey that? And that is probably PAX. yeah, a player who just truly does ridiculous things. I think back in 3.14, he left the Galaxy with Virtual at year 63 in an actual multiplayer game. So not only did he have to build enough tech to leave the Galaxy, he also had to fight off other Virtual players because that was when Virtual was allowed. Um, but even still, like I tried it again recently in today's Stellaris, which has much better tech than back then, and it took me until year 80 to leave the Galaxy. So Pax was just truly an insane player. I don't see him play too much these days anymore. It's a bit of a shame because it was definitely always fun when he was in one of your Galaxies. And you could just see one of the most insane Stellaris players ever. And I miss that. I do kind of miss that. That was crazy to watch. That was just crazy to like observe in general. Um, yeah, back in 3.14, before the days of completely overpowered meta builds, which is kind of what we have now, right? Like, here I am playing a bog standard Hive build without much practice or skill, and, we're making 150 Unity with a very stable basic economy, which is, pretty good already. And we're going to finish Ascension and just start immediately blowing up the economy after that. Um, of course, once again, like, not nearly as good as what a seasoned Hive player could do, but still not bad. And you have all these builds that hit 1k tech and like 300 alloys at like year 30 or something like that. And oh, this is a pre-FTL. What kind of pre-FTL are they? They are a bog standard pre-FTL. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna build enough armies to take their planet. 5 should be just enough, and then if you want to invade a pre-FTL, pretty simple. Just go ahead and go on aggressive interference, pre-FTL enlightenment allowed, first contact protocol aggressive, and that will give you all the settings you need to invade a pre-FTL and take over the planet. And since we're a Hive, we won't be able to assimilate any biological pops, unfortunately, so they will need to be displaced, let's say, to a nice farm somewhere. So yeah, after we send them to a farm, then we can go ahead and use the planet without even having to deal with the downsides like stellar culture shock, which you might get on a biological empire, which can assimilate those pops. So yeah, we don't get the pops, but also Hive doesn't tend to struggle with having enough pops. So yeah, everything is fine. Also, I have no idea. Would it be worth swapping this archive zone to a administrative hub, or is it faster to just click like Hive districts and strictly build those, or is it even faster to build synaptic nodes? Because this gives us, let's see, 140 synapse jobs. This gives us 200. The problem with building the synaptic nodes is we delete them later, where we get to use these administrative or the nexus districts forever, or what are they called here? Hive clusters forever, right? Like after they're built, they're always built, and then we can just swap the specialization around to immediately pivot the jobs. So yeah, I don't really know what's the best strategy there, as we're definitely not getting Unity as fast as we could get Unity if we were doing a more beeline rush for it. But at the same time, a more beeline rush for it would be less optimal in other ways, in terms of wasting the mineral build time. You know what I mean? Like, build time is a big restriction these days, because we started with 2.7k maintenance drones, and we're only at 2.4k now. So we've only been able to net 300 jobs off our capital, basically. This will get a little bit better now that I have a second planet. Right, this will give us access to a lot more space in our empire. So yeah, now we'll be able to produce jobs for our drones at twice the speed. Although yeah, I definitely would recommend a mineral world first, as otherwise it would really struggle with minerals. As yeah, this these Hive builds do not do well with basic resources in terms of the base production is really low. It's like 3 or something. Let me take a look. I can't remember how to check the base output if I'm being completely honest here, but it is not good. I guess you could just do the math. 4 drones produces um, 18 minerals. So yeah, that's not the best. Not the best for sure. And yeah, we do have a little bit of a negative multiplier from our species template design, but it's not a big deal, as once you start building support districts, the support districts overpower the negative effects of those pop multipliers really, really quickly. Support districts are completely overpowered, and I love them. So, anyhow, like I do wish they changed support districts. I think they should be capped. I think the support districts should be capped at like 2. And every time you build a city district, it doesn't do anything except for give you more trader jobs. Maybe that would be fair. Um, Otherwise, the larger planets just get too big of an advantage from stacking support zones, where smaller planets can't really stack the same amount of support zones. And you might have noticed this when you're playing Stellaris, is if you use support zones on your basic planets, your minerals will be very, very annoying at first. They'll be not enough, not enough, not enough, and then all of a sudden, your basic resources will blow up to a number where you'll never need to deal with it again. Um, I have a world where I have a machine world and a generator district. Like it's like size 26 or something. It was a really large planet, and I decided to dedicate to energy. And in the late game, it was a Shroudforge build. It's making like 11,000 energy credits. Like that's like 3 Dyson spheres. You know what I mean? Like the planet efficiency of large planets is so unbelievably insane. And this is with the Shroudforge nerf, right? Previously, the Shroudforge governor gave you telepaths per pop. Now it just gives you kind of a flat amount of telepaths. And even with that restriction in place, right, I'm still producing a essentially near infinite amount of basic resources from a single basic resource planet, which I think is not a very balanced way to have basic resources. I think it's just too much of not a challenge, and I'm really glad to hear. And in case you guys are unaware, they are planning to rebalance the economy. I personally haven't looked into what they plan to do for these economic rebalances, like what are the main changes that we're looking at, that kind of thing. I'm just excited that it's happening, and when it comes out, I'll look into it and give you guys some videos on how to maximize the new economy. I'm pretty excited. I would like to see economic nerfs in Stellaris all around. I think specifically basic resources are a bit too easy to get, and I think alloys are actually fair. It's pretty difficult to produce high amounts of alloys. It's just too easy to produce. Why am I building a planetary defense? I think it's just because it looks like a mineral support, and I didn't notice that. So let's go ahead and change this over to a mineral world. Yeah, anyway, like I think advanced resources are kind of fair in how difficult they are. I also wish that planets were more compact. I think pop growth is too readily available. I think biomorphosis pop growth and synthetic pop growth should be nerfed to make the difference between ascended empires and non-ascended empires less significant, and even psionic empires, right? And any other sources of pop growth should be reduced. Well, I feel like pops feel like a resource that should need to be fought over in the galaxy, and not something that every empire has unlimited of, which is kind of what it feels like right now. Anyhow, let's go ahead and start biomorphosis. Of course, year 8 is not amazing. I don't know the best path on Hive, so I'm just going to go mutation, purity cloning as I do on regular builds, and hope that's the way to play with Hive builds as well. I have no idea if that is the case. However, we can't afford these genomic research labs, which is a bit unfortunate. Anything I can do about that? No, I guess we just wait, right? We just use the patience, we wait. We do have a new mineral planet coming in soon, so hopefully we can increase our mineral output just a little bit. Should I even dedicate? Yeah, I'll probably dedicate one more mining zone, because we're going to get this genomic research facility in immediately anyway. Also, remember to resettle just a couple of your pops over every time you get a new planet. Otherwise, sometimes it can purge all the pops before any spin automatically, and then you'll have a big problem on your hands. Can I purge these guys into minerals somehow? Is that a thing we can do? I don't know what kind of purge rights that we get. Displacement, processing. Why would I not do processing? That species right. Processing. Yeah, that's what we want. We want some food. You know, might as well get something out of this purge, right? Like, just eat them. You know, that sounds like a great idea. We're a hive mind. We can consume even this. They're a little bit less tasty. Yeah, 100 in food per month. Beautiful. See, I knew there was something better we could do than just like purging them for nothing. That's great. What is this planet supposed to do? This could be a food world. This looks like an energy world. Size 25 is too good to be an. I'll do something else with that. I'll turn like this planet into an energy something. And I know it looks uninhabitable right now, but as soon as we finish bioascension, every planet will have good habitability. So it won't be a problem anymore. We'll set this to auto survey as well, and we'll have it survey this planet up here first. And I think if we get control of this little sector here, I'm a little happy. I'm pretty happy. I don't want to go too wide, as going too wide is just not that fun to play, even though it's kind of strictly better in today's meta. The more planets, the better. Like, the empire size you eat going wide does not outweigh the benefits you get from going wide, so yeah, I would definitely recommend wide build. If you like going crazy in Stellaris and getting really, really good numbers. But it does get hard to manage as well, right? You probably at some point need to start using planetary automation, or your economy will get so good by like year 35, hopefully. Crossing my fingers if I don't do anything wrong. That you can just literally queue up an entire planet's worth of build immediately. So it's not the craziest amount of micro. Um, Anyhow, we're doing fine here, and we're just going to work through the biomorphosis extension, right? It's going to start ticking as soon as the genomic research facility finishes. And I'll be back when we're closer to ascension. Once again, I picked mutation for my first pick for the situation. I'll get 2 more picks. I'm going to go purity and then cloning in that order, and then we will come back when we're closer to ascension. All right, everybody. So I'm back, and we have an insane amount of pre-FTLs. We have another one here. We have one over here. So yeah, we have quite a bit of pre-FTL taking to do, which is good because that can sustain my food before I have enough food to actually sustain my own food, which is nice. So yeah, other than that, we are struggling a little bit on energy credits. This energy planet is definitely going to come in a little bit late, but that's fine because at least we have enough minerals now, and we can always just start buying less minerals and buying more energy credits if that is something we need. And yeah, just try to get these energy credits online as soon as possible. It would be nice to use one of these oceans, but I really want to use this like really large ocean planet here. Or obviously we can use a bit of basic resources for now. I mean, it's going to be terribly inefficient, but later on I want to dedicate this to tech or alloys because it's an enormous planet, and tech or alloys make me feel fantastic. So we definitely want that. And then after that, I probably want to go with just more tech and alloy planets, depending on how many planets we end up with. Sounds like a fine idea to me, I guess. And yeah, just also energy on this planet here. Size 12 should be enough to get us covered for a while at least. I don't know if it'll get outscaled, and at some point we'll need to move it to a larger planet, in which case we'll deal with that when that happens. So yeah, anyways, we're going pretty good right now. Biomorph situation is coming along nicely. I do kind of wish I took Executive Vigor instead of Tech Ascendancy, but at least I could tailor my techs if I want to. I'm a bit too lazy to do that right now. Yeah, anyhow, yeah, we're just keep on going. We're gonna keep building up this mining support as well, because as long as we have enough minerals, nothing is ever too hard. All right, everyone, we have now ascended. I think it is time to go purity. And yeah, let's go ahead and just finish out this tradition tree as fast as we can, giving us the nice habitability bonuses, the job efficiency from purity, and the pop growth speed from cloning. And yeah, if we take a look at our pop growth speed now, it should be pretty good. You're getting 12, and that is without having reformed our species in any way, so this should only go up from here. Let's go ahead and redo our species, so we can get a nicer species template here. We have 6 picks available. I think I'm just going to go with something really basic here, like fertile plus robust, if we can afford it. Robust is pretty expensive, I think. Robust. Can we afford it even? Is it 4 or yes, 3? Oh no, it's 3. Okay, so we should be able to put it in. We can't have non-adaptive and robust. Okay, we have to drop one of these here, which kind of sucks. Oh, we can actually put something else in. Haunting visions, physiological infertility. Yeah, that's great. And then I didn't know why I don't have that in the first place. That is definitely a better trait than non-adaptive. So yeah, we got both of them in now, and we're gonna go ahead and set this as our default template. And I don't know if it's worth doing an assimilation project, so we just have these assimilate. I believe with Hive they assimilate pretty quickly into your main species type, so that's fantastic. And at this point, it's just about building up these basic economy worlds and these tech worlds at the same time, right? So one thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to swap this to a tech dedicated planet. As you can see, we're highly specialized into society tech, and that is because my aforementioned goal of rushing for Hive world tech, which is in the society tree. Except we can also simultaneously build up a second planet here for the other kinds of tech, so we're not too far behind in those. I believe I'll use the size 15 for engineering and physics. However, the number one priority at this point should be to maximize this mineral world as well, because when you don't have enough minerals, it is just really hard to do anything in the game, as they are really low on the cornerstone resources, right? That allows you to build buildings in the first place that can build you out of any other problems you might be having, right? So this little planet here can be our agri world. We will need, a better source of food at some point because it's not looking fantastic right now. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's also, I believe, This will cut into our Unity, but our Unity is so good that we just go into our edict cap. It doesn't matter too much. I think I'm going to take something like Executive Vigor here, just for that edict cap. And by the time we finish our next tradition, we should be ready to take Hive Worlds, hopefully. So we're going to go with adaptability here. Adaptability is just a really nice way to guarantee you hit the roles you need on your council. So we're going to start with Perfection Protocol, as this will give us a nice bonus to our pop growth speed. If we take a look at what we're getting now, it should be even better. This is without a clone vat. We're getting 15 pop growth, right? On a smaller planet, I'm here in Kinnear 600 pops. We're getting +8. So that's still a very solid benchmark. And this will give us the economy we need to build up our tech. This planet here can probably be used for alloys. I'm going to start building up alloys, even though I don't specifically need them. It's just always nice to have a source of alloys when you do need it. And yeah, with our mineral world being able to build up nicely here, it should be fine. And then the other worlds we'll just use for pop growth. We'll start building them up when we have enough minerals. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to push towards Hive Worlds. I believe rushing Hive Worlds is one of the better ways to play. In case you don't know what techs you need to rush Hive Worlds is, if we take a look at the tradition, I believe it should tell us. Yeah, Hive Worlds. So you need climate restoration. To get climate restoration, you need to find terraforming tech first, and then you have a chance of finding it. But that's why we took adaptability, because adaptability will give us the agendas so that we can guarantee to roll these techs in case we're unlucky with our base tech rolls. However, our base tech rolls are also decently fast, just thanks to our high amount of society research. So we could be able to, if we're lucky, find that naturally through our tech rolls as well. So we'll see what happens, but we'll be back in a bit. Alright, I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. I decided to switch my society tech focus in my what's it called, society focus here, or research focus to new worlds, giving us a plus 25% chance of terraforming tech. And on my literal first roll, I already found it despite only having one research alternative, which is really, really nice. And also I can keep building up, our other worlds here. And as you can see, it's going pretty well. Our tech at year 22 is already pushing up to decent levels, and we're going to be able to get a decent amount of military industry up by then as well. Allowing us to have actually non-zero alloy output. And there's also a lot of options we can go for if we want to. If we're doing a try-hard build, you would almost certainly go organic reprocessing and build up a very powerful agri world in order to supply the food for that. And then also, just is also great for having upkeep in general. But we're not going to do that here. I think we're just going to stick without anything too try-hard, and just kind of play a normal-ish game of Hive with a very good org. In fairness, as I thought that would give me the best chance of not looking too terrible. So we're just going to go ahead and go down with architectural focus and terraforming tech are both amazing, but we're going to go with not terraforming speed, because architectural interest is one of the main bottlenecks in terms of just building up your planets. And as you can see, we're building a engineering only planet here. Right now, we're a little bit lacking on pops, but once we happen to find clone vats, which I don't think we have yet, we haven't been lucky enough to find clone vats somehow, even though we have very good society tech, then that should get resolved. But before then, we'll just have 3 different planets, one for each tech type, with our home planet being the most biased towards society tech, as this is also the planet which we currently have that is producing the most of our research. So yeah, anyhow, things are going pretty well. It's just pretty chill so far, and it looks like we even would have the capability of militarizing for year 30 if we needed to, which is pretty cool, I guess. Alright guys, with our Perfection Protocol agenda just having finished, giving us that extra 10% pop growth speed per something or other, it's a good agenda. It's not as good as the cloning agenda, which is absolutely ridiculous on bio, at least. We can go ahead and take Conquer Nature. That'll give us ecological adaptability, and then hopefully after that, climate restoration. If we could get a Hive world started this early into the game, that would be absolutely fantastic. But one thing we do need to work on for that to happen is, of course, building up our energy credit source, as you need a lot of energy credits to terraform those planets into Hive worlds, and also in the meantime, just keep up with every other building type as well, right? Making sure we get the tech rolling, making sure we have the food and the basic resources to keep everything moving as well. I'm not exactly sure how I will arrange these planets once we are done ascending. We'll definitely need one planet just for naval capacity as well. Could be this tomb world over here that is locked behind a few lone defenders, and we definitely have more than enough alloys to take those out if we need to now as well. Synthetic crystal plants. Let's just go ahead and take all the rare resources when we see them as well, as things are definitely starting to go along well. Like we're over 1k tech as well. I would say we're still a little limited by pops, but we're starting to catch up, right? We're starting to be able to assemble pops at the same speed that we're using them up, right? Like if we take a look at this, like 15-ish pop assembly on every planet, that's just about equilibrium, I find. Maybe once you get to about 20 is the point where you actually are building pops faster than you can realistically build jobs, unless you have a lot of bonuses to building speed, right? So it's all going pretty well, and we're just gonna, update you guys whenever we hit some nice milestones here. Definitely impressed, I would say, at the strength of Hive, although this is overtuned, right? And we are next to an assimilator, so okay, I guess that means we need to start militarizing as soon as possible then. So that's a new focus here. Does also mean we should focus on military techs, because I don't really want to be going up against them with corvettes, and we do hit clone Vatses now, so that's kind of our population growth finally fully solved. So yeah, we can start to get ready for potential conflict too. Right now they don't hate us yet, right? They're still only wary. I believe the game doesn't consider Driven Assimilator to be total war either, because they can do diplomacy. They get an envoy. Right, so we don't necessarily immediately have to go to war with them. It's just, at this point, we might as well have a fleet, right? It's kind of what a lot of players would do normally in this situation anyway, so we'll probably do the same and just leave a tradition pick or ascension perk blank, just in case we want to specifically select Hive Worlds when we find it. And also, we can get rid of Void Hive and Memorialist now. We really no longer need either. Something like Elevation Contemplations is good for late game. I'm not really exactly sure what other good ones are, though, because to me, a lot of these look very much like they don't do that much. I guess Hyperspace Synchronicity is good for pop move speed. Resource or research alternative pick is decent. The tech and unity per maintenance drone doesn't seem amazing, as you really don't want that many maintenance drones across your empire in the first place. I guess we could take One Mind. Pooled knowledge is interesting. Subsumed will not, right? Like, yeah, none of these are too useful. Permutation pools, I don't really like the habitability hit. I think I'd rather just have less pops working more efficiently, to be honest. So maybe it is One Mind, for now, and then we can look at other things later on. Yeah, aesthetic is probably pretty good as well. I find that the civics for Hive, besides catalytic, don't change your playstyle as much as I hope for. Maybe it's just because I don't know Hive that well. There's also the origins, right? Some of the origins are absolutely insane in what they do, like wilderness. But that's a whole other can of worms that I want to get into another day, potentially. So anyhow, instead, we're just going to keep building up the planets that we do have, and I'll be back when when something more interesting is happening. Hey everybody, year 33, climate restoration has been found. The exact same time I happen to get ecological adaptation as well, but we can go ahead and find that a little bit easier than climate restoration, I believe. And it still hasn't actually been guaranteed unlocked by the agenda. That was just a random tech roll that happened to find it there, which is really, really nice, because this means we're now guaranteed to have Hive Worlds, and all we need to do is basically collect 20,000 energy credits in time. So yeah, one thing I'm going to want to do here is just make sure that my energy planet is indeed maxed out. Four energy districts is probably not enough. I should probably replace one of these voltaic production yards, which just give a flat 200 jobs, with the conductive workplace, which gives +2 districts, which can give me a little bit more jobs overall. I think that's probably a good idea, so we can go ahead and just build one of those and yeah, get these energy credits rolling online so we can start converting every single one of our planets to a Hive world. Generally not a bad idea. I decided not to build a fleet yet. We are sitting on now 10,000 alloys almost. So we could have like a decent 8 or 9k fleet by now, which would be enough to dissuade us from getting attacked in a lot of circumstances, but not enough to really launch any offensive attacks. And we would have relatively weak tech overall. Obviously, I think it's possible to have a much larger fleet with a significant down, like, in the amount of tech we're producing, and using those minerals to produce alloys instead, and also not producing so much society research. But once again, we wouldn't be able to find climate restoration and these kind of techs this quickly if we didn't have that level of society tech. So I think it's completely worth. And if we had put the society world into alloys instead, for example, I'm sure we'd be doing better in those departments as well. However, we're just going to go ahead and build this data-driven research facility on all of our tech planets. Just make sure the tech efficiency is also there, right? Because you want a number of jobs and efficiency multiplied together. Makes a much better system than having only one or the other. This is why even on your planets, I always put a lot of support worlds, support districts compared to what you might think is good. I usually go about 50-50 support districts and menial drones. If I'm a little bit weak on number of pops, I'll go even like 70% support districts, 30% actual zones, and then if I'm going with something that has way too many pops, then I might go a little bit the other way, just so they're not all sitting as maintenance drones or something. But even then, like, you'd rather have maintenance drones and have higher pop efficiency because maintenance drones can produce a lot of cool stuff now, right? Thanks to things like natural neural network, of course, hyperspace synchronicity. This is basically just for sublight speed. I don't really think it does much else. But none of the civics do a crazy amount for Hive. I guess our Unity is really good from One Vision as well, so definitely not complaining about that. I like having almost 2,000 Unity at year 30 in the game, right? It is completely ridiculously fast if you think about it, and I think should be able to terraform into Hive worlds very, very soon. I think we just need ecological adaptation, right, which is in the queue right now, and we'll wait for this to finish. All right, let's go ahead and take the Hive World Tradition pick. Very, very nice. And do you need, I actually don't know this, do you need ecological adaptation to turn your planet into a Hive world? Yes, you do. So we're going to have to wait that 3 months. Taking a look at some of our other worlds here, right? I've decided to go physics world. This planet, if I manage to grab it in time, will be our fortress world. Just cover it with fortresses. Right, as that's one of the planets that has the least demand for pop efficiency. So Tomb World is pretty good for it. I definitely would say you don't need this number of planets to play Hive, but if you happen to get this number of planets, why not take all of them, right? You have unlimited habitability from mutagenic habitability, right? Everything starts at 50% and then added with your bonuses like robust. Like, even if we take a look at these planets that our pops aren't really designed for, 120%, no problem. Our capital is up to 160, and it'll get up to 175 at some point during the game once we have enough techs and stuff. So yeah, that's awesome. And then we can also go ahead and just start turning these into Hive worlds at 10,000 energy credits apiece. So we're just going to go ahead and buy some extra energy credits to get these started right away. And with plus 350 energy, we should be able to start like chaining these upgrades together pretty easily. So yeah, probably my favorite thing about Hive worlds, or one of my favorite things, is simply also the fact that you can continuously build on your planet as it's upgrading. So, or terraforming, and you don't need to max out the planet. So we can just start terraforming all the worlds right away into Hive worlds without having to wait for anything specific, which is really, really nice for, parallelizing the planet time on our planets where, if you have to use something like an Ecumenopolis, it is a real pain because it pauses everything on your planet for 10 years as you terraform it, where that obviously doesn't happen with Hive. We're over 2k tech now at year 35. This is definitely looking pretty strong, although our alloys are definitely pretty weak. We don't have anything alloy efficiency boosting, right? We chose not to go catalytic, which is one of the only ways to quickly boost alloy efficiency, although I do have some of these metallurgic buildings to build, which should help us out and start building ships. I think we already have cruisers, right? As soon as we want to. If we take a look at our ship designer here, you can see that our ship technology is definitely not groundbreaking in any way. These are some pretty bad ships for the time in the game, but they'll still match up pretty comfortably against AI ship designs, I would say. AI ship designs are really not all that. Basically, the quick version of ship design is the best weapons by far are bypass weapons, so disruptors, arc emitters, that kind of thing. However, I find them so OP that I don't find them that enjoyable to use, and they're also banned in many multiplayer lobbies. So I usually play with just a very basic mix of weapons that deal extra hull damage, which you want slightly more of than weapons that do extra shield damage, because the overall shield numbers on your ship is much lower than armor. So, for example, on our L slot, we go large EV laser, and then on our 2 medium slots, the 3 medium slots, we go with medium coil guns. We could even go, like, replace one of these with a laser if we wanted to do something like this. And yeah, so just a basic mix of kinetic and lasers is never a terrible ship design. It's never the best. It's kind of slightly better when you have access to uh, protons or neutrons. They're just better damage model and that kind of thing. So anyhow, let's go ahead and just build ships up. Also, I do plan to make a more thorough rundown of ships once we have access to the new ship update, which is they're planning to rework ships, basically reduce the number of them dramatically to reduce lag, which I completely agree with. I really hope they do that as soon as possible. I'm definitely all for reducing the ship counts. And once that happens, I'll finally go ahead and really, I think, once and for all, learn all the ship mechanics that are important, go figure out what good multiplayer players use, and that kind of thing. And then make videos about it so that I can share all that knowledge with you guys. For now, I would say I have a relatively basic understanding of ships, what counters what, and that kind of thing. Definitely not my strong suit in Stellaris because like if I want to go meta, I'll just go all bypass. And if all bypass is banned, I'm usually not the best player out there. Yeah, just I use the best of I forget what it's called. I think plasma. Yeah, like if I have plasma, I'll use plasma. If I have neutrons or protons, I'll use neutrons or protons, and then combine with the highest tier kinetic launcher that I have, with a strong bias towards kinetic artillery, if you can get it, instead of autocannons. As autocannons have a lot of misses when getting in close, forcing you to get in close and that kind of thing. So anyhow, yeah, we're like way overproducing a lot of resources now. Like we're producing way more food than we need, so we totally could be catalytic if we needed it, but not a big problem. Yeah, instead we're just gonna keep getting all these planets going, and I also forgot I should go turn on terraforming gases to speed that up, and I'll be back once we've built up a little bit more. All right, as we push on and we finally have a fleet, it's only 15k, but that's enough to be equivalent with these Grand Admiral no scaling AIs already, which is better than I thought, to be honest. But yeah, we're just gonna just leave them in our capital. Don't really need to declare war on anyone. Just a bit of a headache to do so. But if we take a look at a lot of our buildings across the galaxy and just our planets in general, like they're doing really well, right? 16 assembly with just one clone vat on each planet. Um, expanded Warren, cool. I guess that's that's the upgraded luxury housing, right? So yeah, the fact that all the different buildings have different names for every empire type does get confusing after a while. But I guess if you play enough of each type, you'll also start to just remember, therefore making it less confusing. So it's not so bad. I don't like that though because I'm really silly and I always just forget about like what is referring to what a lot of the time. Bit of a I don't know if it's a ADHD but something else. Anyhow, let's go ahead and also just keep building up these planets. Like, right, it's the moral of the story, right? As soon as you ascend, you have so much pop assembly that you're just, I think we're finally building up maintenance drones on basically every single planet now. So it's also a good reason to build the Autocathon monument. I don't know exactly which one it is. I believe the Sensorium site appears to be giving the same bonuses as the Autochton monument. Uh, so yeah, let's go ahead and build. I just pronounced it two different ways back to back. I still don't remember which one is correct. So we can start to build those on planets where we're piling up on pops as well. Not a big problem. Oh, auto-curating vault. Does that do anything amazing? No, not really. I think my favorite version of the auto-curating vault is the Megacorp one, with Knights of the Toxic God, making your knights also produce basic resources via trade. It's one of the funniest combinations of all time, sustaining your entire empire off only knights pops. Especially funny if you want to go something like psionic, although I just believe that biological pops are just better with Bioascension. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing knights with Bioascension recently. Definitely going to make a video on that. I think it's going to make it into what I believe to be the top 5 strongest builds in the entire game, which is something I want to do at some point, right? Like in 4.1, is what do I think are the top 5 meta builds? I'd say one problem with those now is back when I started playing Stellaris, the meta builds were very specific. Like it was necrophage technocracy. You start with these civics, you build these buildings, you pop off. Nowadays, right? Like overtuned, for example, has such a wide range of builds that are similar in power. They just do different things. Some rush amoeba, some rush bioships, some even rush alloy ships. Some are for tech ascension rushing, some are for like trade maxing to be a strong support empire. You have virtual support empires with trade and pop assembly. There's so many different ways generally to play every build that it's really hard to determine exactly which one is strong. For example, I was shocked to play a multiplayer game a couple days ago where I was playing just reading through the rule set, and I realized that they had virtual unbanned as long as you don't take it on a resource consolidation start. And I was like, there's no way this isn't broken. I'm gonna load up with the OG classic Void Forged um, Virtual Rush, and it was straight up not overly much. It wasn't much more powerful than just a Biomorphosis Rush. It was a little bit more powerful, maybe like plus 30, 40%, plus 50%, but old virtual would be 500%, 600% stronger than the next strongest build at year 30. And I was kind of blown away by that, right? And this was on 1.x Unity, which makes the virtual rush kind of quite a bit weaker in that sense. Biological species can rush Ascension quite a decent amount faster than individual machines, mostly thanks to seasonal dormancy. But even still, right? I was genuinely blown away by how close it was, because that was never something that would be true at all at any point in some Stellaris metas, right? Where it's just there's no way that virtual would be close to anything at year 30. And just do keep in mind, those biological empires will infinitely outscale virtual given long enough, as long as you theoretically don't have the virtual empire rush ascension perk, or not ascension perk, a total war. Not a total war perk. What am I trying to say? A galactic nemesis equivalent. You know what I mean? Cosmogenesis or something like that. I'm of course a Cosmogenesis merchant. I just love it. I like the fact that the tech tree is longer. I think that's my main thing with it. I don't even use it to destroy the galaxy like 99.99% of the time I play it. I just farm the crisis levels, mostly through just regular techs, and probably I might research a couple applied infinity theses to reach the final tier. But I'm not even interested in that. I just want to have access to those final Fallen Empire buildings. I personally believe that enigmatic engineering should give you access to all the Fallen Empire buildings, just in a much slower way than Cosmogenesis. I don't know how. I think just make them exceedingly rare. Like, the tech weight of them is like 1/10 or 1/15 what they normally would be, but you can actually rush them with enigmatic engineering, or build them at some point, because I think it would be really, really cool to have access to Fallen Empire buildings just with standard regular empires, right? I don't see why you wouldn't be able to eventually become a Fallen Empire, right? Like, given enough time researching. So I think that would be very, very cool, instead of just infinitely farming repeatables for other empires, where you could actually get some techs that you couldn't normally get access to. I think that would be a really cool way. Or maybe you're limited to one for, you only unlock one new perk for every 10 repeatables you do, or something like that. Like 3 Fallen Empire buildings in total for enigmatic engineering is so disappointing, right? It makes it never feel worth it to take, unless you don't want Cosmogenesis and you really, really need the biological building or something like that, because that building alone can single-handedly make purity builds not feel like the same thing. Yeah, anyhow, as you can see, we're scaling along nicely. 250 alloys is a little disappointing, but everything other than that is doing really well. And as soon as this becomes a Hive world, of course, we'll be able to blow up the production from it. Also, we've rebalanced our research to be a little bit more dedicated to things like engineering and physics, so that hopefully we can find megastructures and also just progress our tech nicely. So anyhow, once again, I'll be back in a bit. All right, everyone. Just a couple years later, it looks like one of our neighboring AI empires wants to declare war on us, so let's quickly just queue up some fleets here. We should be able to ward them off if they do declare. I think we have enough to just leave all the edicts on as well, so that's nice. Yeah, we definitely have enough. So they do want to declare war on us. They're not going to win, I'm pretty sure, because the AI fleets, 20k doesn't mean 20k. Or you know what I mean? It probably is equivalent to like the 12k of like properly built fleets, or even less maybe. Yeah, and even though our fleet tech is pretty mediocre, if I'm being completely honest, especially for this stage of the game, I've been focusing a lot on more economical techs, especially a lot into society, which is a bit of a dead zone for useful military technology, right? I think this shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, 20k, we're building up here, 22k already. There's quite a few more in the queue, and we could claim some of them if we wanted to. I don't really like dealing with AI managed planets though, because they're really poorly managed. So we're just gonna claim. I even want to claim them now. Just humiliate them or something. To be honest, yeah. If they declare on us, we're up to 3K tech now, which is cool. And then in the meantime, yeah, just keep up these planets. As you can see, having only one tech type on a planet is nice because you need to build way less different unique buildings on this unique building slots. You could even build like a research supply depot or something to lower the upkeep. But yeah, as you can see, we're kind of having a runaway amount of these non-rare resources, right? I guess that just means it's time to just select terraform on every planet, and definitely means I should try to look to more alloys, right? But did I select Ocean World? That yeah, the Ocean World and Hive World actually look pretty similar, so let's make sure I didn't do that here as well. And you can even terraform just a brand new tomb world, which feels so weird to me. Um, yeah, like the food has just been sitting capped out. I guess the solution to that would obviously be to drop something like one mind for organic reprocessing, but it's kind of just so boring to always use organic reprocessing. I guess we'll just do it, show the true power, like getting a nice base alloy increase would increase our alloys a massive amount. As one thing I guess we can do is just ascend this planet so it builds up faster. That is probably a good idea. We have so much unity. Um, we should definitely try to build up this planet just a little faster. And oh, we're literally out of building slots as well. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And it looks like the AI's intel is actually good enough to know that they can't. Oh, they have double the fleets now. 50k. Now 50k versus 35k is more of a real fight. However, we're still producing ships and we're on the defensive side of things. So I'm not sure like if we'll be able to easily beat that, but I think we definitely should still be able to beat it, which should be pretty interesting. But yeah, we're gonna just quickly build up here. Let's also just assign any random admiral to these guys to make them just that little bit stronger. I don't really want to lower the disengagement chance, as disengagement is pretty important because you lose ships uh, if you don't disengage. And if you do disengage, you can kind of repeatedly heal back up and that kind of thing, and get a pretty good advantage like that. So we got protons as well, Cosmogenesis tier 3, a lot of good options there. Let's just go with protons there, just in case we want to proton it up in the middle of this war. I always get protons and neutrons confused. They two sides of the same coin, it feels like. Anyhow, let's just go ahead and keep building up. And if they ever do declare war, I'll restart this, or I'll restart this recording because they're just kind of sitting there. Maybe they're being warded off by the intel that we're building up ships. And the moment I cut the recording, they declare war. Why would they declare war just to humiliate? I never understand this AI logic. Let's lose everything over nothing. Always a great idea, I guess. Let's just move our ships into bend. Uh, I reckon they won't be too bad, and they're splitting up. So, um, yeah, AI, what are you doing? Don't split your fleets up. You can do better than that. I'm usually the kind of guy to split my fleets up, but that's always an accident. So do let it be known there. I'm just kind of silly and bad at microwing them. Anyhow, let's go ahead and just make sure this alloy planet is going as hard as it can go. It just doesn't make that many alloys, eh? Like this is kind of the problem with alloy-based ships is you can't really go tall with alloys. You have to go wide at the beginning. Um, which is annoying. And then you can make the alloy worlds pretty tall after you build them up a bit. Let's go ahead and stop that ship from moving solo. Um, okay, let's all meet up here. Let's meet up somewhere nice and close and make sure we move in together, because as long as we move in together, I think the battle shouldn't be too bad. I always do this. I always build ships, and they all have different speeds. And then they go in piecemeal, which is just a nightmare. But like, yeah, this is why it's good to have multiple star bases, and by default, you leave your ships on all different star bases, and then always keep them upgraded to the max so that you don't have some of your ships partially upgraded and some of them not. But I'm too lazy to micro that, so instead, we just have to make sure they're all together when they actually engage, which sometimes does go wrong, really badly wrong, I will say. Like, yeah, as you can see, that smaller bunch of ships is just way faster than the bigger one. But yeah, these AI ships that are going in piecemeal should just get completely wiped out. Yeah, there we go. I don't need, did we even lose a ship? Probably not. Also, let's go ahead and go to the army hub and just build up some armies here. We don't really need any, but it's useful to have if we do ever need those. So nice. Let's go ahead and also start terraforming this last planet into a hive world. I think we have every planet terraforming into a hive world now, which is nice. I don't think I'm going to be bothered to redo my planets either. So they're just going to be doing whatever they're doing. And if I'm overproducing food, so be it. I'm not bothered to go micro those guys around. I think on these planets, I should still be building something, right? So let's just build more lab buildings. Just increase the tech somehow, some way, right? Like, just might as well. Yeah, because not building anything on a planet feels like a big waste of time potential, right? As planets are still limited by build speed. So after we start getting these into hive worlds, then we can start, moving pops over that are maintenance drones and getting closer to a balanced economy, because we obviously don't need so much advanced economy, and then that should be fantastic. And I want to set status quo. I'm not really interested in full occupying them. But I guess we'll just go ahead and move into their space a little bit, send a few armies over, and then probably beat out that war. Not too challenging. The AI fleets are not good. All right, the enemy's forfeited. So yeah, they are now humiliated. Such suckers, Next time, don't challenge the Dun. Don't challenge the Dun. Okay, it's not that impressive to beat some Grand Admiral AIs these days, especially when playing overtuned. But regardless of that, right, we're just continuously scaling here. Not too bad. Once again, our alloys are just so bottlenecked. They're bottlenecking our progress so bad. You should definitely go buy our ships if you play Hive. That's looking undoubtedly true right now, but it makes it harder to find hive worlds. I know we do have our first hive world, which is nice, because now we can go through our empire, and every time we see maintenance drones, and anything that's not energy credit, like especially these food drones, like those could totally be moved off. We can just move them over to this planet here. Forge World probably doesn't have too many maintenance drones. 2,000 menial drones on this planet. It's the food planet. Yeah, don't need that much food. And yeah, we can just fill them up with other drone jobs. And oh my god, we're almost out of minerals. This is why I made my second planet, the Hive World, the mineral planet, because I knew this was going to happen. Anyhow, let's take a look at this tech production now. I think we should be getting close to 5K, right? Like how much of this? 1.9, 1.5. Yeah, like we should be kind of close to 5K when it updates. Yeah, 5K already. So nice. I mean, we can upgrade these buildings soon as well. We miraculously still don't have the research center, which gives like +1 and everything, but it's probably because we've been using so much of our physics tech that just repeat cosmogenesis tiers, which is quite expensive. And I want to upgrade these buildings as well, except I find that you generally don't have enough until you have a more upgraded world type to sustain even the tier 2 of those buildings, which is why I just leave them on tier 1 until I'm kind of sure I can sustain it. And to be honest, if I wanted anything, I'd go to my species and I would remove some trait, maybe like fleeting excellence, and literally just take something even funnier, which is the exotic metabolism trait, which gives some ridiculous bonuses. 25% habitability, 20% pop growth speed, and 50 years lifespan is ridiculous amount of pop efficiency. And especially since it's general and works on all pops, which is the kind of traits I like, because I don't like to do planet-specific ones, because they're just a pain to manage. I could like set this as the default, for example, and have these assimilate in, and this will very quickly burn all our gases, but we might as well start doing it now, because why not? And when it goes back, we can just go back to the hour pop. It's kind of funny, I guess. Yeah, anyhow, we're just going to keep scaling and probably play it to like year 60, and then kind of do a final report on how I feel about this build. Guys, I just finished my Hive World for minerals, and I did not know this was how this worked, but it destroyed my mineral purification plants, and it has tanked my like look at this mineral situation. -400. What is going on? We need to rebuild these as soon as possible. That is quite silly. The fact it just deletes your upgraded buildings there. Is that a bug? Or is there a way to avoid that? I don't know. There's probably a way to avoid that, but like it's this kind of thing which does make it a little bit rough, as rebuilding those buildings is going to take some time. Luckily, I had a buffer of minerals, but if I didn't notice right away, I would have eaten that buffer of minerals in seconds, right? 15,000, that's less than one be out of minerals from a full buffer. Anyhow, we should be fine once we rebuild it, so yeah, you be careful. This is one of my least favorite parts of every Stellaris playthrough. It is the Great Ringification. I would say these days in Stellaris, somehow, orbital rings are an even more important building than megastructures, because boosting your base pop output by a decent amount somehow gives more resources than actual literal megastructures, or at least especially more resources compared to the time and effort they take to build. The numerous layers of, and stages of a lot of the buildings just take forever to do in terms of megastructures, and then you get an output of 3,000 energy credits per month, or 6,000, or however much a Dyson sphere gives, which is still less than just a regular planet that is turned into a hive world or something these days. Like, take a look at this planet. It has no orbital ring, right? So it's yet to be expanded. Not all the jobs are filled, and it's making almost 3,000 minerals. Who needs a Dyson swarm, or a Dyson sphere, or a matter decompressor when a single moderately sized planet, like what is this planet, size 15, can quite easily keep up, right? So, yeah, anyhow, what are we out of here? Oh, we can't build. Oh, there's already an orbital ring being built around this planet. Yeah, I always don't know if I've forgotten one of the planets or something, because from what I remember, there's no actual way to build a orbital ring from a planet menu, which is, I think there should be like a ring button. Like, wherever, once you have a ring, you can go ahead and click on the ring to access it through your planet interface page. There should be a button to just build a ring on there, and then it automatically sends or builds a construction ship to go construct the ring, instead of having to manually click into every system to build the ring. Probably my least favorite part of every Stellaris game. Once again, in terms of some of these techs, I have no idea what I'm taking, if I'm being completely honest. Does the planet just come fully maxed out, by the way? Wow. That is pretty cool. I didn't actually know that's how that worked. You don't even have to build any districts. They're just already done, almost. Okay, cool. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just going to go ahead and take advantage of that. And yeah, this will be a maxed out alloy world too pretty soon, which I'm kind of curious to see how much that makes. As I'd say, a single planet for alloys with non-catalytic is definitely not the way if you want to play in multiplayer. You probably want to go double planet non-catalytic or single planet catalytic. Or maybe even double planet catalytic. Why not, Why not? And then you'll have more than enough. You probably need to have your absolute best world on food if you want to go single planet catalytic. Otherwise, you'll have really struggled with your food output. Like, I mean, we're using the size 12, right? So obviously, I didn't expect it to do anything crazy. But does this planet have a ring? Yeah, it's getting ringed as well. So yeah, we're ringing every planet now, which is very, very nice. And then, yeah, very soon we'll be able to like kind of see late game numbers for Hive, because I don't think it gets much better than Hive World with a ring, right? That's about as vertical as you can get, besides maybe like literal ring megastructures. And I've also completely forgot to upgrade arc furnaces at all. Yeah, this is kind of the state of arc furnaces these days. They used to be completely overpowered, and one of the only ways to scale up your alloys and stuff, and now they're an afterthought where you can comfortably forget about them. But, it is what it is. We're at 6k tech at year 50, and this is seen as mediocre these days, so yeah. Alright, everyone. As you can see, I've gone negative in a lot of my basic resources just to move those pops into my new Hive world. Foundry world, which is really nice. It's finally making a decent amount of alloys, but not even 1,000 at year 53 is, I guess, not mind-blowing. It's definitely not bad. It could use a few more pops. As you can see, we're definitely lacking a few pops. Let's just move some drones kind of randomly over. I guess we can borrow some more minerals as well, as we have enough buffer of these resources, so they're all going to reach positive by the time we are looking at, going negative or anything like that. So yeah, like almost 1,000 alloys at this date is definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen. You could build an alloy reclamation plant as well in order to slow down the bleeding of those minerals. But yeah, overall, I said I'd play to year 60, I guess, so I'll just go to year 60 now and just see what we're looking at that date, and then, give a final verdict on the Empire. Alright, everyone, as we close in on our final years here, I'd like to give an overall overview of the build power. It is definitely pretty solid. I would say the biggest thing we would need to continue scaling right now is just those Cosmogenesis Fallen Empire buildings, and I could definitely see this scaling into the late game as hard as any regular biological overtuned build. If not, it could be even considered a little bit better. I do think the job density on Hive is just a little bit low in general, so that could be improved. But I mean, these numbers are still fantastic. I also think the basic resource worlds in Hive worlds are almost infinitely better than on biological empires. The fact that we get these massive pools of basic resource jobs on Hive makes megastructures even worse. I'd say the advanced resource worlds aren't quite as amazingly dense as with biological empires. But once again, I don't have the Fallen Empire buildings for these yet, so maybe it's just that little bit of bias kicking in where I'm used to having stacked the biological, neurological building, or not neurological building, health building, hospital building, whatever it's called, that just gives you so much pop efficiency bonuses. Once we found those with Hive, it would certainly get quite a bit better as well. I would say, yeah, overall, I couldn't specifically say if it's that much weaker at all compared to a regular biological build, except I will say the regular biological builds do have the early game tech and Unity Rush just a little bit stronger than Hives, and then I think Hives can probably catch up for later, as they have the really cool ability to go really tall on food as well. Hive worlds can indeed become major super tall food worlds where for biological you need anglers, and even a fully anglered world I don't think could get quite as tall as some of these Hive worlds. Let's just take a look at this planet here with minerals. Minerals have very few base output bonuses, unlike food, and it's already making 3,000 minerals per month, and there's a bunch of jobs unfilled. Right, this would probably be up to like 5,000 food on a size 15 planet, right? I think whenever I play biological builds, I rarely get more than 8 to 10,000 food, even on a late game food planet. And of course, food base output is higher. So yeah, I wonder what you'd get on a fully maxed out Hive food planet. Like we don't even have a food processing facility on this planet because the Hive world likes to delete them. So I can only imagine the crazy amount of food you would get from a maxed out Hive food world. I'd imagine that makes it really strong for late game bioship builds, where on biological empires I still prefer alloy ships because for super late game it's easy to have super high alloy numbers, like 10,000 alloys per month, but it is relatively difficult to have like 100,000 food per month. And it's also annoying to have that because your storages fill up in like 3 days and you have to rebuild ships like every like three seconds. It's super annoying. And yeah, I reckon Hive would help quite a bit with that. You'd still need to build storage zones everywhere, though, with the Fallen Empire storage zones. So it would be a little annoying. But overall, I'm pleasantly surprised. It is stronger than I thought. I do not like the early game base outputs for basic resources. It definitely feels like a bit of a struggle to get rolling. But as with any build these days, once it gets rolling hard as long as you have the pop growth. And, well, the pop growth is just super solid. I'd be curious to see what this feels like with those Fallen Empire medical buildings. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Go out there and enjoy this pretty powerful way to play Hive. If you haven't been playing overtuned Hive already, I would highly recommend it. And yeah, you can definitely beat any AI game with these numbers. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time. Peace.